It's 1 p.m. I'm going to Warner Chapel, Universal and Sony headquarters in Nashville here to ask if they have producers and singers and other artists that they're developing who are looking for songs and so forth. I would have had a meeting this morning at 11, but the guy had to cancel, so we're rescheduling until next week. And I got another meeting today at 2 and at 4, so I'm just kind of going around here, knocking on doors basically. Yesterday I had the best jog ever. My friend who plays tennis told me about this technique that in sports they look up to the sky when they're feeling negative thoughts or they can't get out of some circulating thought loops about negative stuff. And I did this a couple of times before, but I didn't stick with it enough apparently. So yesterday I went for a jog and there were all these straight roads. And in the evening there's not too many cars in the streets, so it's okay. So what I did was I would run straight along some road and look up to the sky. And what happened was like my body kind of, it's hard to explain, but the body sort of straightens itself. So my head would go up and chin would fall like back and my back would be rather straight. So the whole weight falls more on the back than the front. And this somehow allows that the air flows smoothly through the mouth to the lungs and so forth. And shoulders can relax and so forth. And I could run just for 15 minutes non-stop on high intensity. And even if I had to take breaks, it didn't hurt or anything. It was like the best jog I had in a long time. I can highly recommend trying it out. It's such a cool technique. Just look up to the sky and have a straight lane to run on. The mind also chills out a bit. The more I run, the more intense it gets, the more my thoughts race. And I'm having a hard time concentrating on running, but with this looking up thing, everything in the head kind of goes quiet and focus falls on the feet, and energy and attention comes back into the body. It feels so much better to run. It's not like it's easier, that's not really the right word, but there's no pain as there is usually. So for example, my shoulders would clench extremely, and around the chest area it gets very tense. And when I look up, it feels like that tension just kind of flows through or kind of repositions that the lungs can breathe without any pressure. It's the best thing ever. Just gotta watch out that you don't get hit by cars or trip over things. To be honest, I'm not expecting too much from going and knocking on doors here, because those major labels tend to be a little more closed and not too open for producers or artists who don't already have an established career. But you never know who you run into, and I still got over half an hour, so why not? Half an hour later, I just went to all the major labels, so Warner Chapel, Universal, and Sony, and they all said they can't accept unsolicited work, which I expected, but it's worth a shot anyway. And now I'm on the way to the next meeting. It's weird how this looking up thing works. It's the same with talking to the camera. So if I hold it up further, I'm way more concentrated than when I hold it lower. I don't get why. It must have something to do with the frontal lobe. I just saw this interview with Joe Rogan. He was interviewing some guy, and he was talking about how all the decision making, the long-term planning, the concept of self and rationalizing is all stored in the frontal cortex or frontal lobe, or whatever it's called. And in the creation of music, this kind of shuts down. It's when those flow states begin. and for some reason looking up seems to play a role. Now, I've never heard this before or read it anywhere, and it doesn't seem to be common knowledge, but I could be wrong here. Maybe some of you guys have heard this. I've never seen anybody do this, or no, whatever, but it seems to work really well. I'm much more focused if I talk to the camera upwards. Everything around me is just kind of passing by. I might be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure looking down has the opposite effect. If somebody's feeling bad, they usually look down. And if somebody's feeling good, they usually look straight, or straight, or maybe a little upwards. But I would never have imagined that just doing this alone has the same effect, like it works vice versa. I just got out of my meeting with the manager guy. He has his own project going on. Apparently he was at Universal before, but now he's doing mostly publishing, producing other artists, and so forth and so forth. Like, he's kind of all-rounder, not just one thing. And he asked who I met while I'm here, and I told him that I met this manager that I was telling about last week, and apparently he's friends with him. So he was more than happy to link me through to the artists he's working with. He got contacts in LA and New York, so he can put me in sessions with other artists, or I can make remixes for the artists he's managing, and so forth. But he seemed like he was excited about the music that I'm making, and maybe we're gonna put something out. If so, it's gonna take a while, because I got a lot of songs to do within the next few days, or once I get the time to actually do songs. Just got out of the second meeting. The guy's a producer who works with A-list singers such as Shawn Mendes. Produced a lot of big songs. When you walk around the studio, there's like gold records hanging on the wall, so he seems like a pretty big deal. And he says I can send him music anytime I need to, but since he's also a producer, that would kind of mean we're kind of competition. So it's not exactly something he can help me out with, but you never know how these connections work. He said if I would like to write with him next year or something, if I can plan something ahead, like 1 month ahead of his schedule, he's more than happy to write something with me, which is awesome. So yeah, but now it's time for falafel wraps.